All right, so in this video today, we've got another haul from BanadirFragance.com. And in this case, I don't have full bottles, but what I do have here is samples. And these are 10 ml and also a 5 ml sample of different fragrances from Banadir Fragrances. So if you are someone who wants to try, Middle Eastern fragrances and maybe you're not familiar with the scent profile, or you don't necessarily know if you want to commit to a full bottle or not, then definitely check them out. Typically, I want to say these samples run anywhere from like around $8 to $10 or so, just depending on what the fragrance is. And obviously, I mean, 10 ml or even like a 5 ml sample like this is going to be more than enough for you to get, several different wearings of the fragrance in, and allow you to be able to tell whether or not you actually want to purchase a full bottle or not. All right, I would say definitely with the cost of shipping, it absolutely makes more sense for you to buy as many samples, I guess, all together as possible, because obviously if you just get one sample, more than likely the shipping is actually going to cost more than the actual sample does. So I would say, again, definitely try to buy as many as you can, if that's what you want to buy. All right. All right, so the first fragrance that we're going to start off with, this is going to be Fragrance World Sultan The Conqueror. And pretty much what this fragrance is supposed to be cloning is Black Incense Malachi from Chapard. I've never heard of this particular fragrance or smelled it. Now, from what I could see, when I kind of looked this fragrance up, the fragrance itself, the original fragrance anyway, you can actually find it on, websites like Joma Shop or other discounters for like around $60 or so. So I guess I'm not really sure why Fragrance World chose to, clone this particular fragrance, because it's not a very expensive fragrance at all. I don't know if maybe if it's, discontinued or not. I would assume that it's not, with it only being about $60. But pretty much what this is, what I got from this was like a really sort of mature, spicy, I would say smoky, leathery type of scent. And yeah, I mean, pretty much when you first spray this on, it opens up, I would say, really ambery, spicy, smoky, and leathery is pretty much, the main sort of vibe that I get from this. You get like some woody oud in this as well. It's not necessarily a fragrance that I would say that, I hate. It's just not really a fragrance that I myself would personally wear, I would say. This is definitely going to be for like the more sort of older gentlemen, I would say. But I mean, I would say for what this is, I mean, I can appreciate it for sure. I mean, it's not a scent that, stinks or anything like that. It's just not something that I would personally wear. All right. So that one is Fragrance World's Sultan the Conqueror. All right. So the next fragrance that I have here, this is going to be also from Fragrance World, and this is Casamorando La Bruta. All right. And pretty much what this is supposed to be is Xerjoff's La Tosca, part of their Casamorati line, or Casamorandi, however you say it. This fragrance was also another fragrance that, I would say it didn't really do anything for me. Now, also at the same time, this is, I think, a women targeted fragrance. So this is not going to be one that I would necessarily wear, but it is, I would say, extremely strong. So that for sure I can say. And the way that this comes off is it comes off, I would say, very sort of floral, kind of cold and metallic. Like I said, extremely strong for sure. This is definitely going to be like a room filler, and definitely a fragrance that I would say that would leave like a huge sort of scent trail. Good projection. But I don't know. This kind of seems something like, I don't know. It seems like a fragrance that an older woman would wear, pretty much, in my opinion. And again, I mean, for what this is, doesn't smell bad. It's just not something that I would necessarily purchase for, like, a female friend that I may have or whatnot. This is not something that I would want to, have her smell like, pretty much. This is more so, I don't know, it kind of gives me, like, I don't know, auntie or grandma vibes. So, like I said, smells good. Just, I would say, probably for like an older woman. All right. So, again, that one is Fragrance World's Casamorando La Bruta. All right. Now, the other sort of women targeted fragrance that I have here, this is going to be also from Fragrance World, and this is Champ de Rose. And this is actually, it's a Louis Vuitton clone. I want to say it's called Rose Devant. So Rose Devant from Louis Vuitton. And this is pretty much, this is like a sweet, fruity sort of rose fragrance. All right. So I feel like when you spray this on, yeah, this is like a really watery, peachy, sweet sort of rose. And it definitely has that kind of watery sort of feel that, a lot of those other sort of Louis Vuitton, Jacques Cavalier, fragrances have. This also sort of has that same sort of feel. I do have a sample coming in the mail of the original Rose Devant, to really be able to see whether or not, this is like a spot on clone or not of that fragrance. I believe this is also a part of like that sort of Jacques Yves line. So far, the main one that I like from the Jacques Yves line is the L'Immensité clone. This one also smells pretty good though. I'm not gonna lie. I would say this would more so be something that, for a female friend of mine, this would be something that I would get for her, and would want to smell on her for sure. And really, I would say this would be like the type of rose scent that I would say you could probably, anyone probably from like the age of probably 16 through, I don't know, probably 45 to 50, really, I would say would be able to pull this off for sure. It's definitely, I would say, youthful enough and kind of, sweet and playful enough to where a younger person could wear it. But it's also, I would say, sophisticated enough to where, a grown woman could definitely wear this as well. And I also think that this is something that, a woman could wear either casually or even, sort of dressed up for sure. So this is a very, very nice scent. Like I said, I'll be doing a comparison video between this and the original for sure. So again, this is going to be Champ de Rose from Fragrance World. All right, so the next one is going to be from Fragrance World as well, and this is going to be Enigma Une. So this is the Dior Sauvage Elixir clone, and obviously I've already got the Sauvage Elixir clones here already. So I have a side, as well as I think this is called Just Aswad, which is basically, this is supposed to be like a clone of a side, but it's supposed to be a little bit more potent. At least, and I'm still testing this out, at least when I first got this particular fragrance, this definitely was not as strong and didn't last as long as a side. But I do know with Fragrance World fragrances, typically what happens is, with some of their fragrances anyway, when you first get them, they're kind of weak. and then you kind of have to spray them, let them sit on the shelf and maturate. And then, you know, normally after maybe about a month or so, they, you know, become pretty beast mode. So still kind of testing that out with this one. But yeah, these two are, I would say, you know, kind of twist on the Sauvage Elixir sort of DNA. Whereas with the Enigma Une, that's supposed to be, I would say, more kind of closer to like an actual clone of the fragrance. Definitely, you know, this is, I would say, stronger than, you know, both Aside and the just Oswald. And yeah, I would say this definitely, it opens up a little bit truer to what, you know, Sauvage Elixir does. You're getting more of sort of like that that licorice note in this fragrance for sure. Whereas with, you know, something like Lattafa's Aside, you're getting a lot more, in my opinion, you know, vanilla and I would say spices, you know, when you first spray this one on. All right. So yeah, man, this one is pretty good as well. I'll have to get a sample of Sauvage Elixir to, you know, really kind of compare the two side by side. But so far, I would say this is, you know, pretty solid for sure. You know, in terms of what I remember Sauvage Elixir, you know, actually smelling like. All right. So again, this one is going to be Fragrance World's Enigma Une. All right, so the next one is also again going to be from Fragrance World, and this one was actually, I would say, probably one of my favorite fragrances out of this whole haul that I got. This is going to be Cherry Incense, and so this is going to be Fragrance World's take on, I believe it's Cherry Smoke, I believe, from Tom Ford. I believe that's the name of it. And this basically, it's like one of those flankers that came out after Lost Cherry. So I believe they have like the electric cherry that they came out with, and then the cherry smoke. And this one, from what I remembered, yeah, so it has that sort of cherry smell to it. But to me, this is a lot more sort of masculine than what that Lost Cherry, you know, scent DNA is. So Lost Cherry is definitely, it's a lot more sort of vanillic. You know, definitely the cherry comes off as being, I would say, a lot more candied and sweeter in Lost Cherry. Whereas with this one, the cherry is, I would say, it is a sweet sort of cherry, but definitely nowhere near as sweet as what Lost Cherry is. Or something like, you know, Maison Alhambra's Lovely Cherie. So this is not going to be like that at all. This is definitely going to be a lot more sort of smokier, darker. I would say definitely nowhere near as boozy as what, you know, the opening of Lost Cherry is. And I would say overall, you know, this is definitely going to be a lot more masculine, you know, than what Lost Cherry or, you know, Lovely Cherie is from Maison Alhambra. So I would say this would definitely be the one that I would probably recommend that most men wear, would be this one, Cherry Incense. Whereas, you know, I would say probably the Lovely Cherie from Maison Alhambra, that would more so kind of be, I would say really that one is pretty unisex, but it is sort of feminine leaning, I would say, you know, because of the sweetness in this fragrance here. So yeah, man, I do love both, but I would say the Cherry Incense, I would probably wear more over the Lovely Cherie for sure. All right. So again, this one is going to be Fragrance World's Cherry Incense. All right, so another one from Fragrance World. This is going to be Sultan The Founder. And so this was actually the one that I liked out of the two sort of like, they're the two new fragrances from Fragrance World. They kind of look like, you know, like king chess pieces or whatnot. This one, it opens up really sort of fresh. So yeah, you get like this sort of fresh bergamot and pink pepper in the opening of this fragrance. And then you start to get kind of like a leathery feel to the fragrance as well. And basically what this fragrance is supposed to be a clone of is Gisa's Imperial Valley. All right. So this one I really do enjoy a lot. Now, I also have another, clone of Imperial Valley within this haul as well that I actually slightly prefer over this one. But I would say, this one, it smells pretty high quality. It smells pretty good. I do like the other one though, because I would say the other one comes off as being slightly more fresher than what this one does. This is, to me, a pretty easy to wear fragrance though. Especially I would say for like the spring. I would say spring and fall is probably when I would wear this particular fragrance. I would say you could probably even get away with this in the summertime. I personally wouldn't wear it out here in the summer because it has some thicker notes like leather in it. But I think, depending on where you're at, if it doesn't necessarily get to be like over 100 degrees, then maybe it should be fine for you. But this is a pretty unique sort of take on kind of like a fresher style fragrance, in my opinion. So again, this is going to be Fragrance World's Sultan the Founder. All right, so the next one is also going to be, this is going to be the other clone of Imperial Valley that I was mentioning before. And this is Ard Al Zafran's Liwan. All right. So Liwan, like I mentioned when I was talking about the Sultan the Founder, this fragrance, in my opinion, Liwan, it has a little bit less leathery feel to it than what the Fragrance World version does. And to me, this one comes off as being slightly more fruitier and less dense, I would say, than what the Fragrance World version does. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to really be able to compare Gisa's Imperial Valley to either one of these fragrances, because when I went looking for samples of that fragrance, I really didn't see any samples from any of the, the normal places that I get samples from. So I'll probably have to see if I can get like a sample from someone on like a Facebook group or something like that. If not, then I'm not really going to be able to probably do the comparison of it, because I'm definitely not going to buy a full bottle of the Imperial Valley. But yeah, this one, the Liwan, I would say comes off as being just slightly sort of lighter and more kind of aromatic than what the Sultan, the Founder, does. And, for that reason, and I would also say this one comes off as being less leathery as well. So for that reason, I would say that's going to be why I actually slightly prefer this one over the Fragrance World version. I would assume, though, that the Fragrance World version is probably going to be, I would say, probably closer to the original scent profile. But this one is still very good as well. So I would say if you're looking for a slightly fresher, heavier emphasis on like bergamot and pink pepper and less emphasis on leather version of, Gisa's Imperial Valley, then definitely check this one out. And again, this is going to be Ard Al Zafran's Liwan. All right, and then so I've got these two here. So one is going to be Jack of Clubs from Fragrance World, and then the other is going to be Lattafa's Al Nashama Caprice. So I have these two here to basically kind of compare with Blue Electrique as well as the iconic Nuit. I'll have a video up soon, kind of comparing which ones are actually closest to the original. But what I can say so far is, out of all of these three here, I would say the one that I actually prefer the most so far is going to be the Latafa Al Nashama Caprice. To me, I like the way that this one comes across just slightly better, I would say, than the iconic Nuit. So this one to me, it does give a little bit more of that sort of blue shower gel vibe that you get from the original, Blue Electrique from YSL. But it also still has a lot of that sort of aromatic, kind of cardamom that you get in the iconic Nuit as well. I just feel like overall, everything is kind of amped up a little bit more in this Latafa version. And this one comes off to me as being like the strongest out of all of them. Now, I will say it seems like once you start getting into like the dry down of the Latafa, this one does kind of have, I would say, more of sort of like a slightly sort of spicier element to it, which is something that I notice a lot of times with, a lot of Latafa's fragrances. They kind of have like that sort of, extra kind of Middle Eastern sort of spicy edge to their fragrances. So, you'll either love that or hate it. I personally love it, but yeah, man, this one is very, very good. It really is. Now, the Jack of Clubs is also pretty good as well. In my opinion, though, Jack of Clubs definitely comes off as being a lot lighter than I would say all of these other clones. All right. So definitely I would say check these out in terms of, Blue Electrique clones. Again, Latafa's Al Nashama Caprice, as well as Jack of Clubs from Fragrance World. All right, and so the last fragrance on the list, this is going to be Art Al Zafran's Layalina. Now, I'm not 100% sure exactly what this particular fragrance is supposed to be cloning. Definitely, right off the bat, this does seem to be like a women's scent for sure. I'll have to, kind of look into it further and, try to get further confirmation. But this definitely, it comes off as being like a really sort of, I would say, definitely a floral heavy scent for sure. Not really getting much citruses at all up top, except for maybe sort of, I guess, it comes off as being kind of like a slightly sort of tart citrus, if there is any at all in here. See, a really kind of tart, I would say like a really sort of sharp, sort of floral scent. Kind of powdery as well. Not really a fragrance that I would, necessarily, purchase for a female friend at all. I would say this is also going to be, in my opinion, more of sort of like a more mature woman scent. But, obviously, people are going to wear whatever they want to wear, as they should. But yeah, in my opinion, this is definitely, I would say, a little bit on the sort of mature side, as far as what I can tell. So this one, I would say, is not really my favorite at all. So out of all of the ones that, I got pretty much, I would say this one I didn't particularly care for, the Art Al Zafran Layalina. Didn't really care for the Casamorando La Bruta from Fragrance World, and I didn't really care for the Sultan The Conqueror from Fragrance World. So, I mean, overall, it was a pretty successful haul, I would say. You know, this is what, 3 out of 3, 5, 7. So 7 out of 10 fragrances I liked, which, you know, that's pretty good. So again, definitely I would say check out BanadirFragrances.com. If you're looking for samples of different, you know, Middle Eastern fragrances. I don't think that they have samples necessarily of every single fragrance that's on the website, but pretty much if you go and you search for a fragrance, when you go and, you know, actually type in the name of it, it'll kind of auto populate, you know, in the search field as long as that fragrance is on the website. And you'll be able to see which one is the sample and which one is the like original fragrance just by the price. So the original, you know, full bottle is obviously going to be like probably $30–40. And then, you know, if they have a sample of that fragrance, you'll typically see it for like $7.95, $8.99, something like that. All right. So definitely, man, check out BanadirFragrances.com. And again, you can use my discount code VegasSense10 to get an extra 10% off. And definitely, man, let me know in the comments, have you all actually tried out any samples from Banadir Fragrances? Which fragrance did you actually try out? And did you actually end up liking that fragrance enough to go and purchase a full bottle? All right. So let me know in the comments. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And to everyone watching, leave a like and a comment on the video. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Sense. I'll see y'all in the next video.